Hello, my name is Sarah Maxwell. I'm the Director of Marketing at ThriveAP, and we're honored to have an expansive faculty of expert speakers and APPs with impressive credentials and experience. Today, we're going to be talking with one of our esteemed faculty members to gain their advice on thriving in an advanced practice career. So please welcome me in joining Seth Hake.
Hi, yeah, as Sarah mentioned, I'm Seth Hake. I'm a physician assistant. And I currently work in the Western Pennsylvania market, and I have for the last 9 years in emergency and hospital medicine. And I'm thrilled to be a presenter for ThriveAP.
That's great. So Seth, tell me a little bit, what intrigued you to work with ThriveAP or drew you to the opportunity?
Yeah, so I always had the opportunity to work with students in some of my prior roles. In my current role, I don't have the opportunity as frequently to do that as I would like. And when I kind of heard of the Thrive opportunity, I saw it as a great opportunity to work with new APPs who are just kind of getting started. I can still remember being, on my first day, fresh out of PA school, all the anxiety that kind of came with that. And I feel like having a transition to practice program like ThriveAP really will help build their confidence and really turn them into a better provider earlier in their career to really impact, healthcare as a whole.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm happy to hear you say that. I think that's what we hear kind of often from our different faculty members is that transition is so jarring in many ways. And, something about the APP community I've really noticed is that desire to give back and to help support kind of the next generation, which has been really rewarding to see. I don't think you always experience that in different communities. So tell me a little bit about your practice, your day to day and, where you live, maybe some of your background.
Yeah, so I've practiced for the past 9 years in Western Pennsylvania, which has been my entire career pretty much. And I've worked in both emergency and hospital medicine, and I've done both simultaneously. So I have, a different perspective, I think, than most, whereas I've seen a very roundabout kind of way of medicine. I've seen acute care, I've seen, emergency, ICU care. I've kind of seen a little bit of it all. In my current role with my current company, I again work in multiple specialty lines: hospital medicine, emergency medicine, observation medicine. And I also have a leadership role within my company where I'm the director of APPs and observation medicine as well.
Wow, that's super exciting. I think that's one of the first times I've heard that. How did you get into that role? That's a very neat.
Yeah, leadership's always been something that's interested me. And 9 years ago, leadership wasn't as prevalent in the APP space. And I feel like as the APP professions, nurse practitioners and PAs have drastically grown, even just in the past 10 years, there really has become an opportunity for leadership of APPs, both with healthcare systems and staffing companies. I really believe it's become paramount that they have leaders in these roles who truly understand these positions and can help build really effective teams.
Absolutely. Yeah, having that person who's kind of walked in your shoes, so to say, and can help with that career path. I do think that's something that's more unique in the market these days than we have seen in the past, where there are more and more NP/PA-based leadership roles to help our growing and expansive growth behind the APP career. So with kind of that in mind, talking about leadership, what would you say is your greatest passion in your role?
I really, obviously we get to work with patients, but I also get to work with providers. We take care of patients on a day-to-day basis, which is what we were all, interested in doing. That's why we became PAs or nurse practitioners. But I really also enjoy working with the providers. I think it's, has a huge impact to be able to build good teams who can provide efficient and high quality healthcare, which can impact many more providers than I can as a single individual. I'm sorry, patients. Yeah.
And if you know, I'm asking about how many different APPs are you currently over?
I'm not sure the exact number. I mean, I work with several leaders, at the site level, and each leader has, several other staff APPs under their structure as well.
Wow. Okay. It's nice because that's such a newer concept, I think, in the care model, that when you kind of see it in action, it's neat. It's exciting to start to see that really come to fruition for patients as well as for APPs.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about supporting APPs and, NPs and PAs, what do you think are attributes of a good mentor?
Yeah, I think a good mentor leads by example first and foremost, and I think they have to be very enthusiastic about their role. Obviously they have to be a good listener, and they have to be able to provide constructive feedback. And I feel like everyone learns a little bit differently, so a good mentor needs to be able to adapt their leadership style to their mentee, to be able to provide that appropriate and constructive feedback.
Yeah, absolutely. We talk about that kind of often, that even within ThriveAP, we're all different learners. So it is important. There's some people who are just totally audio, some people visual, I'm kind of a haptic learner. So I have to be doing it all while I'm saying it out loud. So yeah, mentors, that's a tough job. So it's important that they are easy to adapt to the different students. And if you had to pinpoint, one of your career accomplishments, speaking of being a leader in what is a typically newer model, what is a career accomplishment of yours that you would say, gosh, if I could really kind of put that one out there, pinpoint that one really meant something special to me?
Yeah, I never really envisioned the trajectory of my career going the way it has and into leadership the way it has. So I'd say kind of transition into formal leadership role with my company has been probably one of my most noteworthy accomplishments. And I feel like this really gives me the opportunity to give back to a growing profession that has done so much for me over the past 9 years. And as I believe I stated earlier, it allows me to work with providers who take care of patients on a day-to-day basis and can have just an exponential impact to patient care.
Absolutely. And thinking of kind of your providers, are there any resources or journals that you specifically say, hey, these are ones I go to make sure I'm staying up to date, that I'm practicing with the best practices that are out there, the newest, latest, that you would recommend for maybe the folks underneath you, or even just folks that are coming up in the space?
Yeah, absolutely. Up to date is pretty much my end-all go-to. Working in acute care medicine, in the emergency departments or on the floors or in the observation units, you're on the go. So having the ability to have something that's concise, quick, but also up to date and written by, the experts in the field is nice to have. I also enjoy that it's available on the tablet, on a phone, on a computer. So you have it right there in your hand on the go if you need it.
Yeah, I've heard that one before, but that makes perfect sense for the emergency setting. I mean, obviously ThriveAP moved into emergency fairly recently. So I'm still learning myself a little bit about some of the differences. And yeah, I mean, you guys have to be on the go, on the fly, quick. So being able to access information at an expedited rate, I'm sure is critical.
Absolutely.
Well, lastly, what advice would you give to APPs of today so that they could prepare for a successful future? Like you mentioned, I could have never imagined the trajectory of my career. What's some advice you could give those folks so that they could kind of follow in the same path or create their new?
Absolutely. I think what I would say is stay hungry, right? Consume knowledge, consume information. You should always be able to learn within the situation that you're handed. And it may not always be the situation you thought it was going to be, but if you can take something out of that, you're going to continue to progress. I always recommend that people step outside of their comfort zone, try new things, try new specialties. The APP professions were started, to help act upon these healthcare disparities we have in our country. And by consuming knowledge, becoming well-rounded, exploring different service lines, you can have such a huge impact on the healthcare system.
Well, that's interesting because the way you said yours is you kind of moved a bit around in acute, right? Yeah, I think that's so interesting to me because we had actually one of our other faculty members I spoke to, he started in family medicine And then he moved into, because his clinic had both acute and primary. So then he moved around, and now he's fully practicing in emergency medicine and urgent care. And it was just a very different path to get somewhere, but that's where he found a lot of passion, was through that. So I think that's a good point of just keep experiencing different things and being interested and take on new challenges, because you might surprise yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah. I feel like flexibility as a healthcare provider is one of the most important attributes you can have. And if you can figure out how to do that, within your comfort level, you'll have a really strong career.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I know this was quick. I thank you so much for your time and for joining us and letting us get to know you a little bit better.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, folks. Well, thank you for joining us, and we hope you'll join us for our next faculty interview. Have a great rest of your day.